They caught him on camera. Over 30 witnesses took the stand. Some even said he paid 6 figures to hide the truth. Yet somehow, no life sentence. He was facing 5 federal charges, and 2 of them could have locked him away forever. So how did Diddy escape the worst? This is Viral Spotlight, and today, we're breaking down exactly what went down inside that courtroom and why this verdict shocked the entire industry. Asterisk. Since early May, P. Diddy has been facing trial over a series of serious accusations, including sex trafficking, organized crime involvement, and moving people across state lines for unlawful reasons. It's become one of the most talked about cases in hip-hop, second only to the Kendrick versus Drake drama. Even before the trial began, things started falling apart for Diddy, especially after his former partner, Cassie, filed a bombshell lawsuit. That grabbed attention across the country. Then, in September 2024, he was officially arrested, shutting down all speculation. At that point, it was clear federal agents were no longer just watching him. They were taking action. On July 2, 2025, Judge Arun Subramanian delivered the final ruling in Diddy's headline-grabbing trial that lasted 7 weeks. With dozens of witnesses called in and heavy media attention, Diddy walked away cleared of the most serious charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. Let's take a moment to break down what this verdict actually means, especially with so much confusion and false info floating around. A lot of people think they know the outcome, but the details matter. Diddy's legal battle began months before the trial even started. The pressure had been mounting since May, but the legal firestorm first kicked off in September 2024, when he was slapped with 3 major criminal charges. Just when things couldn't get worse, they did. In April 2025, only weeks before the courtroom phase began, prosecutors added 2 more charges, bringing the total to 5. That move sent a message. They were coming at him with everything they had. Once the trial began, all eyes were on the courtroom. It wasn't about rumors or online speculation anymore. This was real evidence, sworn testimony, and the possibility that one of the most powerful figures in music could lose it all. From the start, the prosecution laid out exactly the kind of narrative they wanted the jury to believe. Every piece of evidence, every witness, it all fit into a bigger strategy to paint Diddy as the mastermind behind a criminal operation. One of the earliest and most impactful witnesses to take the stand was Cassie, the same woman who originally sparked this entire legal firestorm. Despite being over 8 months pregnant, she testified for 4 straight days. Her account described years of emotional manipulation, physical abuse, and complete control during her on and off relationship with Diddy. Between 2007 and 2018, Cassie didn't hold back. She spoke about events she called freak-offs, claiming Diddy arranged, filmed, and sometimes forced her into them. According to her, he used threats, blackmail, and even explicit videos to maintain control, even after their relationship ended in 2018. Diddy's defense team fought hard to undercut her claims. They presented old text messages, intimate conversations, and moments where Cassie seemed to show affection or consent. But none of that changed the overall impact her testimony had already delivered to the courtroom. Following Cassie, more witnesses came forward. A second woman, using the name Jane, testified during weeks 4 and 5 of the trial. She had been involved with Diddy from 2021 up until his arrest in 2024, and her story felt eerily similar. Jane described repeated freak-offs and explained that she only kept going along with it because she felt trapped. Once Diddy started covering her rent, she said those payments turned into control. She even described a violent encounter in 2024 that ended with her having a black eye. Diddy's legal team once again tried to discredit her, arguing that Jane had been arranging these encounters on her own. But Jane insisted she only played along to have some say over what was happening behind closed doors. Then came Mia, someone with a completely different angle. She wasn't a former girlfriend. She worked directly under Diddy as his personal assistant. Mia, Diddy's former personal assistant, gave her own chilling account from the witness stand. She claimed he assaulted her multiple times while she was on his payroll. According to her, the incidents were spaced out and unpredictable, but enough to leave her feeling trapped, afraid to speak up, and constantly on edge. The defense tried to push back by pulling up past social media posts where Mia had spoken highly of Diddy. They suggested she was making everything up. But even under tough cross-examination, Mia stood by her story. Then came an unexpected name, Kid Cudi. He also testified, recalling an incident from years ago that had a lasting impact. According to him, after Diddy learned that Cudi had once briefly dated Cassie in 2011, things took a dark turn. Cudi told the court that Diddy broke into his home not long after finding out. Then, a few weeks later, Cudi's car mysteriously exploded. Diddy has denied any involvement, but Cudi made it clear, in his mind, there's no question about who was behind it. Capricorn Clark, another former employee, took the stand with serious allegations of her own. She claimed Diddy once held her at gunpoint, forced her into a car, and threatened to end someone's life. She also testified that he shoved her, subjected her to lie detector tests, and regularly intimidated her during her time working under him. Then came Eddie Garcia, a former hotel security guard in Los Angeles. He told the court that Diddy paid him $100,000 to help cover up surveillance footage from 2016. That footage, according to Eddie, showed Diddy physically assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway. Eventually, the video leaked through CNN, forcing Diddy to issue a public apology. But in court, the clip wasn't just an embarrassment, it became a key piece of evidence. The jury watched it multiple times during the trial, but that wasn't the only footage presented. The court also reviewed graphic clips of what witnesses described as Freakoff's intense sexual gatherings Diddy allegedly arranged with male escorts. The content was so explicit that only the judge, jury, Diddy, and both legal teams were allowed to view it through headphones. The public never saw what was shown behind those doors. By this point in the trial, more than 30 witnesses had testified. The prosecution had stacked up a massive amount of material, timelines, receipts, footage, and first-hand accounts, all pointing in one direction. Their message was clear: reveal the side of Diddy the world hadn't seen, not the celebrity, but the man behind the curtain. And after 7 weeks of grueling testimony, disturbing evidence, and moments that visibly shook the courtroom, the jury finally reached a verdict. Just yesterday, at the time this video is being recorded, of the 5 charges Diddy faced, he was convicted on 2, but he was cleared of the most serious one, racketeering conspiracy. That single acquittal is what kept him from potentially spending the rest of his life in prison. Let's break down the charges one by one. Count 1 was racketeering conspiracy, the most serious charge, carrying a possible life sentence. Diddy was found not guilty on that count. Count 2 accused him of trafficking Cassie Ventura. If convicted, that could have meant 15 years to life. Again, Diddy was cleared. Count 3 was different. It accused Diddy of transporting Cassie across state lines for prostitution. That charge could carry up to 10 years in prison. And the jury found him guilty. Next came Count 4, sex trafficking involving a woman identified as Jane. That charge also came with the possibility of 15 years to life. But Diddy was acquitted. On that one too. The 5th and final charge was transporting Jane for prostitution. And this is the second charge where Diddy was found guilty. Like Count 3, it carries up to 10 years in federal prison. So what does all this mean? Some people online are celebrating like Diddy's free, but that's not the case at all. His lawyers did ask for his release immediately after the verdict. But the judge denied bail because he was still convicted of 2 serious federal charges. Each of those convictions carries a maximum of 10 years. So yes, Diddy could still be looking at up to 20 years behind bars. He's definitely not walking away from this untouched. Considering how much damaging material came out during the trial, from witness accounts to disturbing video, Diddy did dodge a bullet. Had he been convicted on the racketeering charge, he could have spent the rest of his life in prison. The prosecution is now pushing for the harshest sentence possible. They may have missed the biggest conviction, but they're still fighting to make sure Diddy does time. As of now, sentencing is scheduled for October 3rd. Now, if we're being real, this outcome was a win for Diddy. Before the verdict, he was staring down the possibility of life behind bars. Now, he's looking at a much lighter sentence. That's left people wondering, how did he almost get off the hook? Was it his fame? Money? A legal team that knew exactly how to play the system? Truth is, even with all the disturbing claims, the prosecution couldn't convince the jury that Diddy was running a full-scale criminal enterprise. They aimed big, too big. Maybe, and the jury didn't fully buy it. The case was painted as a huge web of racketeering, sex trafficking, and bribery. But there wasn't enough solid structure behind the accusations. No full map of how the operation worked. No insider to tie it all together from the inside. And here's the wild part. Diddy's team didn't even call a single witness. They didn't need to. Their strategy was to accept the bad, highlight the holes in the prosecution's case, and frame Diddy as controversial, not criminal. They didn't deny the ugly moments. They didn't avoid the 2016 hotel footage. They even acknowledged the freak-offs happened. But they argued those were chaotic relationships, not crimes. They used text messages, explicit photos, and private conversations to show Cassie and Jane, expressing interest or affection, framing Diddy not as a predator, but as someone living a wild but consensual lifestyle. In simpler terms, they painted him as a swinger, not a trafficker, someone involved in partner swapping, not someone running a sex ring. And that framing, surprisingly, worked. One legal analyst summed it up best. The prosecution lost the jury when they went too far. When a case feels exaggerated, jurors start to question everything, and in this case, that little bit of doubt was enough. So yes, Diddy avoided the most serious charges, and no, he's not free, but he's out of the worst of it, and that's something most people didn't expect when this trial started. If I had to guess, Diddy's probably going to serve around 3 years, maybe less depending on how sentencing plays out. But the final call will come October 3rd. I want to know what you think. How did Diddy manage to escape most of this? Was it strategy, money, or something else? Drop your thoughts below. I'll be checking the comments. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video.